Large woody material consists of downed trees, large limbs, root wads, and stumps, which was previously provided by natural erosions and animal activity, in particular that of the beaver.
Years ago, before the high human impact here in Oregon, and of course the derivation of the name the Beaver State is because we had a lot of beaver in the streams here. These beavers provided a natural habitat for fish, besides for themselves and other critters. Now, with the loss of fish in the streams, we have a methodology of replicating the beaver dams and what have you without having to reintroduce the beaver. And this is what's known as large woody debris or large woody material type structures. Putting some logs back in the stream and so that it will raise the water level just somewhat to provide cooler temperatures for the fish and provide critter habitat for the insects and what have you that the fish in the stream need to live on. This idea has proven very successful here in Oregon specifically and throughout the Northwest in our efforts to bring back the fish, which as you know are endangered in this area.
Originally, some of the estimations would be that we would not see significant change within several years of this work, and in actuality what we found was change occurred in some cases overnight. We actually put some material in the stream, came back a day later where there were fish in some bare pools with no cover. We were startled to find out there were no fish in there. We were wondered where they had gone, if they'd got eaten overnight or what. We went upstream and actually looked around and under some of the structure that we had put in, and those fish had literally overnight moved underneath some of these rocks and logs that were over water to escape other predators. And within 8 months, we've also seen bed load being backed up, we've seen sediment backed up, we've seen revegetation, young cottonwood sprouts beginning to take place, and other pools created due to the high water velocity and energy coming down through there. So just within 8 months, we've seen a tremendous beneficial impact from the project itself and from putting this material in.
We visited Kathy Daw, who was a city planner in Happy Valley near Portland, and she showed us through her very successful large woody debris project.
This is in the 100-year floodplain, all along Mount Scott Creek. Mount Scott Creek runs from the headwaters, which are in the beginning of our wetland, all the way through the city and then out onto Sunnyside Road and down under I-205. To the west is our city park. To the north is our soccer fields, which are owned by the city. And then straight directly behind us is the elementary school. And the area that we're in is a 26-acre wetland that's owned by the city.
During the heavy rain and winter seasons, water flows will reach their peak. Swift currents and muddy water make for a very difficult habitat, sweeping away food sources and providing no relief for the fish. Large woody material creates the pools and relief areas needed to ensure the survival and food supply of the aquatic wildlife. The deep vegetation and thickets surrounding a healthy stream provide habitat and food sources for land animals, insects, and birds. Studies have shown that large woody material provides 5 times more insect habitat per square foot, creating a healthy food chain for all of the wildlife in and around the stream's ecosystem. With an ample supply in place, cool water, and the ability to hide from predators, the fish quickly return to the stream and thrive in their renewed habitat.
The city's doing 2 mitigations for our detention facilities that we're putting in, regional detention facilities. So when we get finished, the majority of the wetland will be mitigated.
Some are concerned that large woody material and stream projects in general are better suited for rural applications such as the LeGrand project we saw earlier. The Happy Valley Nature Park is an excellent example of stream restoration and woody debris placement in close proximity of housing, community recreation, and new development.
Right over on the other side of those trees this summer is where we're putting in our regional detention facility. So we'll be doing some mitigation in through here, and that's when we'll place all the stumps when we've got the equipment out.
Well, hi, I'm Valerie Lance with the City of Troutdale Greenways, and we're out here today on a nice June day at Glen Auto Park. And this park is located right next to the Sandy River in Troutdale, and the city's been working on stream restoration in this park for almost a decade. We have Beaver Creek along one side of the park and the Sandy River on the other. When we started doing the restoration projects about 10 years ago, the park area was a traditional park, and then it just turned into blackberry vines, and people didn't even know that the stream was down here. And since that time, we've controlled the Himalayan blackberry vine and in most places, and planted native plants. And just 2 years ago, we did some large woody debris in the stream. So we're going to take a look at some of those restoration areas today. The main goal with that grant was to enhance fish and wildlife habitat. So we brought in some large woody debris and some of these boulders to add more structure in the creek. So we brought in the structure to give the creek a little more wiggle, and one of the things that happened was from the boulders in the creek, it collected cobble, which adds to the habitat value and made the creek have more bends and changes from riffles into pools. One of the things that was very important for flooding and for security on these pieces is to make sure they're not going to move. And we found that if you have a 40-foot long log, if you bury about half of it, it's more likely to stay in place. On some of the pieces we did cable, that is not as durable as the log being secured into the bank. The piece of equipment that worked the best in the stream was a spider hoe, and it has hydraulic legs rather than wheels or tracks, so it could come in and do the least disturbance in the stream. The hoe part has like a thumb on it, so it can pick up a log and then push it into the ground in order to secure it. And that, where that technique was used, the logs are in place. Where they were cabled, they're kind of loose. When we started on our restoration area, this area that I'm standing was Himalayan blackberry vines about 15 feet deep and a solid mass from the stream all the way up here. When we took the blackberry vines out, it was very bare, just nothing. And we wanted to get vegetation in right away, so we planted the native plants like the snowberry, and the little Douglas fir tree, vine maple, elderberry, the sword fern, and you can see it just took off. Now it's like a jungle down here. And you can also, from this area, see how close by the residential area is. And there's quite a few houses that live right along the creeks. Well, we're now down on the little section that I call the Science Trail. You come down here to monitor the creek. We've had a lot of students from grade school, middle school, high schools, and college, and they've done water quality monitoring and vegetation monitoring. They've also recorded the plants and animals that they find in the creek and the fish. And we have a nearby neighbor that monitors the fish runs in the fall and the spring. And we've also had the State Fish and Wildlife Department come out and do a fish inventory. And from all of that study, we've found the native cutthroat trout and steelhead and other salmon species. I don't remember all of their names, and we usually find them small, little fingerlings, and then occasionally we see the adults coming in to spawn. We know that we increased the food value because last winter the beaver came in and ate a lot of the willows that we had sprouting in here, so we know the wildlife is happier.
Where nature once had a perfect system, we came in and disrupted the balance by removing the very things that gave life to the streams. We now know how to correct it. From waterfowl nesting to fish shelter and insect populations, large woody material is a significant part to any healthy stream ecosystem and a cost-effective method in managing our urban streams and wetlands.